Today's video is sponsored by Paperlike, which makes drawing or writing on your iPad feel more like paper. Hey, it's Chris, and coming up on this highly requested video on which is the best handwriting-driven notes app for the iPad, GoodNotes 5 or Notability, I'll be talking about which features to look for in a good iPad notes app, who these apps are for in the first place, why I chose to compare these two apps in particular, and then we'll get to the part of the video that I think most people are here for that's gonna be the most interesting, which is comparing specific main features. And I'll tell you which ones I like the best for each thing. So I'm talking about the design, the handwriting, the main tools, typing, search, organization, all that stuff. Then I'm gonna cover something you definitely wanna stick around for, which is which features make each app different or unique and what really sets them apart. And I think you're gonna find that section pretty eye-opening. Finally, we'll wrap things up by talking about cross-platform use, the best alternatives to these particular apps, and which one I'm gonna be using between these two for handwritten notes from here on out. Also, this happens to be the perfect time to be uploading this video because Apple just announced two new iPad models, the new iPad mini and the new iPad Air, which both happen to have Apple Pencil support, which is perfect for the subject of this video. If you're a subscriber, make sure to stick around to the end of the video because we got some subscriber-only business to be talking about. This is gonna be a fairly long video again, so I've linked up everything that I'm gonna be talking about down in the description with timestamps, so feel free to skip around. Otherwise, let's dive in. There are a ton of note-taking apps available to Apple users, but they don't all make the most of the iPad's unique capabilities. Many note-taking apps are designed to be typing-first apps, like typing is the main input method. The best note apps for iPad, though, take into account handwriting and the capabilities of the Apple Pencil. They're handwriting first apps. For some people's workflow, I can definitely see that it's gonna work for them to have two different note-taking apps. One that is specifically for handwritten notes and one that is specifically for typed notes. It's really just gonna come down to your personal preference. But aside from Apple Pencil support, you'll also wanna be able to combine a wide variety of elements such as handwritten text, diagrams and sketches, typed text, audio recordings, web clips, GIFs, PDFs, and more. You're also gonna want a powerful search function. Otherwise, what's the point of creating amazing notes if you're never able to find what's inside? Customizability is also a big deal, so being able to change the paper type or the way things are organized, that kind of thing. Because it's nice to be able to set things up the way that you want as opposed to the way the app wants you to. Of course, you're gonna want a clean interface and design, and also a way to sync your notes across multiple devices for added convenience. And those are exactly the kind of features that you're gonna find in both of these apps, which is one of the reasons why I chose to feature them, along with the fact that they're both highly rated and are consistently referenced as the two best. Let me just say something really quick about Apple Notes, which I originally wanted to include in this video, but didn't end up having time to do so. Apple Notes does a really good job of trying to balance being a typing and a handwriting app, but at the end of the day, I'd still probably label it a typing first app. I actually recently made a really great video on how to get the most out of Apple Notes because it does a lot more than most people realize. So since I don't have the time to include Apple Notes in this video, I'll link it up down in the description for you to check out when you're done with this. All right, so let's get to the good stuff, the main features and how they compare. Now, the way that I tested things was by creating several similar notes in each app and then kind of comparing and contrasting the features that I used to make those and just picking a favorite for each thing. First up, the design and interface, and here I definitely prefer Notability's clean and modern design, which makes the most of the digital canvas, compared to GoodNotes, which has a skeuomorphic design which tries to replicate the look and feel of a real physical paper notebook. Personally, I just think that the digital landscape gives us an opportunity to reinvent things. Notebooks are kind of a thing of the past, and Notability embraces that, while GoodNotes hangs on to it for dear life, and there's some real consequences. For instance, Notability gives you infinite scrolling within a note, so you never run out of space. GoodNotes, on the other hand, makes you add sheets whenever you run out of room, which can kind of slow you down. Additionally, whenever you create a new sheet in GoodNotes, it defaults to the vertical orientation, so if you prefer writing in horizontal like I do, then you have to take some time and rotate it yourself. Personally, I think Notability has a simpler and easier to use interface, and I like it better. But if you love real paper notebooks, then you might really like how GoodNotes tries to replicate that experience. How these two note apps handle handwriting, like the feel of the digital ink for instance, how realistic it is, how smooth it is, that makes up a huge part of whether or not someone's gonna enjoy using them for what they are. The good news is that both apps perform fairly similarly when it comes to handwriting and that digital ink. I did, however, slightly end up preferring the way that writing looked and felt in GoodNotes over Notability, but slightly is the key word. Still, it's something that I noticed consistently, so that is a bit of a win for GoodNotes. A huge fail for GoodNotes though came when I tried testing converting my handwriting to typed text, which is something that both apps say they're capable of, but GoodNotes completely and utterly failed. When I handwrote some simple words and then lassoed them and hit convert, GoodNotes just gave me some garbled gibberish. I mean, like not even close to working right. Notability, on the other hand, was able to easily convert my handwriting into typing perfectly with no issues at all. On top of that, Notability even converted bullet points that I drew into actual bullet points. So I'm not exactly sure what happened here with GoodNotes, but I can't imagine them saying that this was a feature if it didn't work at some point for somebody. Next, let's go ahead and talk about some of the main tools, starting off with the pen. Notability gives you two main pen options, one with an even stroke and one that's more tapered. I prefer the even rounded stroke. GoodNotes gives you three different pen options, a fountain pen, a ball pen, or a brush pen, and I preferred the ball. Both give you plenty of pen sizes and colors, and if I had to choose between the two, I would probably prefer the options that Notability provides. Now, if you do a lot of highlighting, I think you'll probably definitely prefer the way that GoodNotes handles highlights because they sit behind what you've written rather than on top. It doesn't obscure things, like what sort of happens in Notability. You can still read whatever you've highlighted just fine in either app, but GoodNotes highlights just look quite a bit cleaner. Likewise, there's a pretty big distinction between how these two different apps handle erasing. Here again, I definitely prefer Notability's eraser tool, which is quicker, smarter, easier, and more precise. In GoodNotes, you have to actually erase every little pixel for something to actually disappear, but it does give you 3 eraser sizes to work with. In Notability though, the eraser tool merely needs to touch a line to erase the whole thing, which is just more convenient. Each of these note apps has the ability to draw perfect shapes, but one clearly does this better than the other. GoodNotes has a dedicated button or tool for drawing smart shapes, so if you want to draw a perfect circle, triangle, rectangle, or line, it's got you covered. Notability, on the other hand, can only handle perfect circles and lines for some reason. So your triangles and rectangles are either going to look like crap, or you're going to have to take extra time to draw more lines to actually make them. Now, while these apps are primarily geared towards taking handwritten notes, there are times when you want to type something. And in those cases, Notability is far superior. Notability's typing features are much more powerful and typed text just looks better. Plus, Notability supports outlines and checklists. Now, search is a feature that you want to be awesome in a note-taking app, and both of these apps are pretty strong in this department, at least in theory. You should be able to search your handwritten notes, typed text, and inside of PDFs in both apps. But when I tried searching for some handwritten text in GoodNotes, nothing came up, which either means it's awful at reading my handwriting or it's really slow to index my handwriting. Either way, not good. On the other hand, Notability was able to find my handwritten search terms quickly, and while it couldn't read everything 100%, it was accurate enough to be impressive, and more importantly, useful. Now, if you're somebody who finds the idea of handwriting while also recording audio notes at the same time useful, then Notability is the direction you want to head, at least for now, because currently that's not something that GoodNotes has to offer. I really like the way that audio recording is implemented inside Notability. Just tap on the record button and then tap again to stop, and then you also get some playback options like the ability to adjust how fast the recording plays back and the ability to rewind 10 seconds. There's also an awesome note replay feature, which is very cool, and it's gonna be able to play back your recorded audio and animate your notes as they were written all at the same time. Now, looking at some support responses online, it does look like GoodNotes has this on their roadmap, so it could appear in a future release, but at the time of uploading, it wasn't yet an option. When it comes to navigating between your notes, each app kind of has an ace up its sleeve. GoodNotes has a really cool tabbed interface across the top that lets you quickly switch between different notes without having to bring up any additional menus. Notability has what it calls a note switcher, which is a menu that you can swipe in from the left of the screen, which shows you your recent notes or lets you perform a quick search. And which one you like better, of course, is just gonna be a matter of personal preference. My preference, though, would always be to have more screen real estate usable while I'm making a note, which means I happen to prefer Notability's swipe in quick notes versus tabs taking up a little bit of extra space up at the top. I think up until this point, the things that we've mentioned have been fairly similar for the most part, but now is where we're going to talk about what really makes these apps different and unique and what features kind of stand out. And here, also, in my mind, is where Notability really starts to kind of take a lead. Let's start with GoodNotes, though. GoodNotes does have a few interesting and unique features, like the ability to import your own custom paper templates. Now, that's sort of more of an advanced move that I think most users probably aren't going to need or want to do, but it's there. GoodNotes also lets you favorite your notebooks by tapping on the star icons on top, which means it's easier to find and reference a group of notes that you know you're gonna wanna access frequently. GoodNotes also gives you some interesting notebook cover designs, which can help make things feel a bit more personalized, which I think a lot of people are really gonna like. Now, what's cool with some of that stuff is Notability absolutely offers several more unique features, which really help to elevate it above GoodNotes in my mind. Like unique. This is stuff that's really gonna elevate it above the other Notes app in so many people's minds. Something that's so great in Notability is the multi-document view, which gives you a split screen dual note view, which is something I've been wanting Apple Notes to do forever. So this lets you refer to one note while you create or edit in another, which means you can multitask, which ultimately means you can get more done faster. Notability also gives you themes, including a dark theme, which so many people are going to love. Something else that's just gonna make you smile is the ability to add GIFs to your notes. And then there are just some thoughtful little features that you just run into every now and then while you're working that just make you think, wow, somebody put a lot of thought into this app. Like if you type out a date or write it out and then convert it to type and then tap on it, you're gonna get some cool calendar options like the ability to create an event or show it in your calendar. And when you're importing a PDF, you don't have to import the whole thing. You can just select a few pages and then save some space. Also, here's a little hint for you. Try tapping and holding on the Notability icon on your iPad. You're gonna get some recent documents. Whereas trying the same thing on the GoodNotes icon will let you delete GoodNotes. A Notes app, to me, whether it's geared towards creating notes on a phone, laptop, or tablet, should be accessible in as many other places as possible. It's just a matter of utility and convenience. Well, here's another department where GoodNotes gets its butt kicked just a little bit because it only offers iOS apps. GoodNotes does not have a Mac app. Notability, on the other hand, is accessible from your phone, from your iPad, and from your Mac, which is nice. And true, the Mac app is gonna cost you another $9.99 in the Mac App Store, but if you really rely on this, then it's totally worth it. And at least it's an option. Let's talk about support real quick, because with premium apps that you pay for, and these aren't just 99-cent apps, it would be nice to get some top-notch support. Well, both of these apps use Zendesk support pages, which are kind of just like collections of help articles, which we all sort of hate. But I noticed if you click on the little blue help button on Notability's help page and type in a question, you'll get the option to get in touch with a real person, which GoodNotes doesn't seem to provide. Both apps do seem to be pretty active over on Twitter though, so hopefully you could connect with the real human for both if you needed to there. So between these two apps, which one would I pick to use personally? Well, the answer is Notability, hands down. There are things that I really like about GoodNotes. I like the digital ink and the way it writes better. And that's a big, important part of an iPad note-taking app experience. But at the end of the day, I really like Notability's design and user interface better. And it really has so many more cool features above and beyond just the handwriting. You know, in a review like this, I tend to cover just the biggest features, but there are a lot of little nuanced things that get left out. But all those little nuances also add up to me liking one over the other. So I guess you could say I kind of feel like Notability has a bit of an X factor to help set it apart. So while I think that GoodNotes and Notability are both excellent apps and certainly are the forerunners in this category, there are a few other apps that are at least worth checking into that I want to briefly mention just so you can wrap your head around it. Whink, spelled W-H-I-N-K, is such a well-designed notes app. I mean, designers and people who just like clean design are going to love the way that this looks and works. The only real problem with Whink is that it's fairly basic. It's missing some of the features that would really make it a heavy hitter in the category, like converting text to type, OCR and handwriting search, and stuff like that. But wow, does it look gorgeous. If all you need is a beautiful place to straight up store your handwriting, then Whink should definitely be your go-to. Noteshelf 2 is a very interesting competitor in this space. Without a doubt, I like its pen and writing tools the best, better than Notability or GoodNotes. The pen tools are just super authentic and the most realistic feeling and looking out of any of these note apps by far. And it has a couple other great features like audio recording. Notebook is a sleek app that's pretty full featured for sure, but in my mind, it's really more of a competitor to Apple Notes than to Notability or GoodNotes because it's focused primarily on typing, but also has some handwriting tools as well. I don't really consider Paper by WeTransfer to be a competitor here because it's really more for sketching, even though I do love it and use it. So if you're looking for a new iPad Pro, then check out today's sponsor, Paperlike, which is an accessory that makes it feel and sound like you're writing on real paper when you're using an Apple Pencil. Paperlike actually gives you more control when you're writing or drawing thanks to the paper-like resistance that it offers, and yeah, it really makes a big difference. Plus, it reduces glare, and thank goodness, fingerprints as well, because the new iPad Pro shows those like crazy. Paperlike is great for anyone who uses apps like Notability or Procreate, and when you place an order, you'll get 2 Paperlike covers plus application accessories with free worldwide shipping and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. And you can pick one up using the link down in the description. Okay, before we shut this video down, let's have a little bit of an after show here. There's a few things that you as subscribers and I need to talk about. Like number 1, we need a name for this community, for you guys. Like, what can I call you? In the past, people have suggested like DailyTekkers, but that kind of makes me cringe. I hate it. So there has to be something better. You guys give me some suggestions. Leave them down in the comments. Also, in the next 12 to maybe 18 months, as DailyTekk starts to think about hiring some full-time people, if you're a creative person, I want you to get on our radar. So connect with me on Twitter, on Instagram, if you're a videographer, if you're an editor, even if you're a designer. Shoot me your work and let's talk. Finally, I'm gonna respond and react to a few of your recent comments. Oh, it's gone. Gutierrez says, do you add anything to your nitro cold brew? It depends. I like it straight. It's very strong. Or sometimes I'll add in like an alternative milk. I don't like real milk. I haven't since I was a kid. Like I got held in from recess once at the daycare because I wouldn't drink my little cup of milk, and they finally let me go because I wasn't gonna drink it. But yeah, it just depends on the mood. Usually I like to switch things up. I get bored of the same thing over and over and over. So some soy or almond or oat milk, that kind of stuff, but just a minimum because I do like the nitro strong. Returning Hero says, Chris, I love the video. I really like the direction you're taking with your videos, and the work you put into this one really shows. Keep them coming. Yeah, lately the videos have been changing a little bit. They're getting longer, they're getting more useful, more informative. Some people don't like the rambling, as they call it, before getting to the video, but I really like the opportunity to build community and to talk to people who aren't just here for a little tiny tidbit of information, but who are actually here to be part of something, who are fans. So let me know what you guys think of the last like 3 or 4 videos, ever since the last Apple Watch video. Do you guys like the direction that we're going? Because right now it's full steam ahead in that direction. Okay, somebody says, you weren't typing anything, but I read it anyways. What they're talking about is I often like hide secret little funny messages or stupid messages when I'm doing B-roll. So if there's a shot of the iPad, like a notes app, like in this kind of a video, I'll just sit there and type like weird stuff because I know people sit there and pause and like try to decipher what's going on. But make sure you look at all the little details in these videos or you might miss something. Trey Little says, peep the music from the homies, Minio, Words Played, and KB. I checked out Trey's channel. He's an up and coming rapper. You should definitely go check it out. I'll link it up down below. And yeah, definitely representing 116 and that whole squad. We need more positivity out in the world, right? We don't need more negativity. We need things like hope. The world is a bad enough place without hope. So just like those factors plus sounding good all in one package, yeah, I'll link up some of my favorite artists down there below. Hal WG51 says, does CarPlay kill your iPhone battery? No, it doesn't actually. It charges while you are CarPlaying. Alberto asks, where do you get the music to use in your video edits? Yeah, you don't want to use unlicensed music. That's a bad idea. What you can do is go to something like Epidemic Sound. I'll leave the link down below and use lots of great music from there. In fact, so many people use that, so many YouTubers. I've almost stopped using it because you hear the same songs in video after video after video, DeMarcus says, if you vlog your day, I think it would be awesome because I think of you as a businessman. Well, thank you. Actually, of course, I am a businessman. What you guys see here in these edited videos is a very small part, actually, of DailyTekk. This is like one of our end products, but a lot of different kind of work goes into keeping the channel and the business and the brand not only going, but growing. So this is coming at some point. I don't know when, because it kind of means I have to film like a double video, the video I'm working on and the vlog like simultaneously. It's possible, it's just a lot of work, but it's coming. So thumbs up if you want to see that. BJCT says he tied that sponsorship in very nicely. Thank you. He's talking about the sponsorship mention on the Apple Music video. We do work really hard on integrating sponsored content here in a way that makes sense for everybody. For us to keep the channel alive and growing, for the sponsors, of course, for supporting the channel, and for you guys, because you have to put up with it. It's your way of supporting us by supporting our sponsors, or at least putting up with them. AB says, I'm a simple man. I see a DailyTekk video. I like the video. Thank you for the support. Seriously, I just want to be serious for 1 minute. Not like I haven't been serious this whole time, right? This is serious content. But I just want you guys to know I don't take anything for granted. Like all the cool stuff that you have enabled me to do on a daily basis, your support means a lot. I keep track of all these nice comments and they motivate me. Like I have a folder to keep going. Like if things are ever tough or tricky or I don't want to film something or work on something, like this stuff keeps me going. So really, thank you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. All right, that's gonna wrap up this video. Leave me your comments and questions for next time at the after show. I'll try to get to those again. I wanna recommend to you that you go watch the Apple Notes video because it's really comprehensive, really cool, full of lots of things you probably didn't know Apple Notes could even do. Also, don't forget to follow at DailyTekk, spelled Daily, T-E, you already know it, K-K, on Instagram, on Twitter, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.